You're listening to the ADHD Heroes Podcast, a podcast where we speak with the heroes of the ADHD community, namely educators, mental health professionals, and of course, those with ADHD themselves, to gain insights, tools, and most importantly, inspiration towards succeeding and thriving with ADHD. I'm your host, Rabbi Shmuel Reich, a high school Rebbe and an ADHD coach in private practice. Welcome to the show. Hi there. On this week's episode, I was joined by an anonymous guest, just using the name David. A friendly reminder that if you'd like, you too can come on and tell your story anonymously. Either way, we had a two-part conversation, which will be split into two episodes. The first episode is him telling his own story, and the second is his involvement in helping others. In this installment, discussing his own story, we discussed his diagnosis as an adult, diet, exercise, career choices, mindfulness, and communication. We also discussed how he had many wise teachers who understood him and what he needed, despite the fact that he's presently in his 50s, and at the time, people were not formally educated, but he had a number of teachers who understood what was going on and how to help him. Enjoy. Okay, David, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on the ADHD Heroes podcast. We're excited for our conversation today.
Good afternoon. Happy to be here.
Okay, so a little bit about yourself and your background, just broadly speaking. Where are you from? Where are you now? How'd you get there?
Where did I come? Where did I go from? So I've been around the block for 55 years, something along those lines.
55 years young.
Yeah, 55 years young. I feel like I'm 45. That's the first tip for an ADHD person. You're typically 5 years behind everybody else.
Oh, excellent.
3 to 5 years behind. That's an important thing to know. Very important, Nakuda. I'm special, and I feel like I'm 10 years behind. So I feel like I'm 45.
Right.
But my doctor said my health is like a 40-year-old, so I'm doing even better. Thank God. Poo, poo, poo.
We
So,
continue.
yeah, amen. I grew up in Muncie. I went to the local Shari Torah, and I graduated Turo with a degree in finance. I then went to work for some major banks in New York City. Spent 35 years in the middle market space, and now I have a consulting firm working to help companies find the right banks to borrow money from. And I guess a very big piece, which we'll get into at some point in the call, in this conversation, is how does it impact my clients?
Yes.
So we'll talk about that.
Okay. Digging in a little deeper, what's the first memory you have that you associate with ADHD?
Falling asleep in third grade.
Oh wow! Tell me more.
I'll never forget. It was like yesterday.
Oh wow!
Mrs. Cohn used to get on the table, and she would sit on her desk in front of it, and it would be every time we would start a new part of the parsha and of whatever we were studying at that time, and she would tell the story of what it's about. And so it's an exciting thing, she's telling the whole story, and it's like a Hakdamas Ashir, so you know exactly what to expect in the next week when you learn the psukim inside. And I would fall asleep every single time out of boredom, no doubt. And I'd wake up later on, drool on the desk, that big bottle.
Well, you said it with no hesitation.
It was like
a very common response I get to that question is, "Oh, I don't know. I don't really remember." This was like, boom.
No, it was it was right
must
there.
Have been a powerful memory.
Yeah, it was. Well, because I was frustrated. Like I missed the whole story again. Darn, I really wanted to hear that story.
Was there a point that you realized? At what point did you realize that was related to ADHD, or was that much later?
Yeah, not until I knew what. No, we didn't know what ADHD was back then.
Right. Okay. That was my next question. So I'm 40. When I was growing up, they didn't know that much, and since you're older than me, they probably didn't know that much either.
Right.
So how did the adults in your life respond to what they were saying? I guess what was elementary school like for you, especially with not that much being known, and how did the adults respond?
It's interesting. The teachers back then, many of them, the ones that were warm and caring, they got it without knowing what it was. They would help you. They would give you some interventions. Different modalities within the classroom. I think if I had to go through my grades, I'm not going to do it now. but if I had to think through, most of my teachers in Rebbeim understood some of my limitations. Um,
That's impressive.
and yeah, I'm thinking back now. It's like I had some really good teachers that really got it. And the ones that didn't, I would fight tooth and nail with them. I'll still, I felt bad for them afterwards. I had to
Uh,
apologize at the end of the year. I gave them such a hard time.
What sort of fighting? Meaning, like,
Verbally, I would verbally be disrespectful at times because I was frustrated and they were frustrated with me, and they didn't understand me, and I didn't understand what was going on.
God, it means
Um,
they would discipline you for things you couldn't really control.
yeah,
Right,
yeah, I didn't understand, you know. So it wasn't necessarily impulsive. I didn't have the H. I was the ADD kid. I didn't have
right.
the I didn't have the hyperness to it. That's an interesting question. In high school, the Rebbeim were really different. They got it. Our Rebbeim let me. I had one Rebbe in 11th grade. He said, "All you're responsible for is Gemara and Rashi. Nothing else. Nothing else." And I'll tell you, it saved me. It made me into a person that can succeed.
That's
That was
incredible.
that.
What do you think they saw? Like that, it's incredible
They
that they had these instincts.
success breeds success.
Right.
If you don't provide your students, your tell me them, your children, your employees, your friends with opportunities to succeed, and you provide them with um, opportunities to fail, then failure brings more failure. Success brings more success. So that's a tip. That's a big tip for anyone listening to this right now. Create opportunities for success. Lower the bar. Lower the bar as low as you can go. Don't say raise the bar so hard, make them work for it. Lower it, let them feel success, and then it'll breed more. And then you keep raising the bar when they've had those successes.
That's great advice. The short-term goals.
Yep. Yep.
Short-term goals.
Yep.
Excellent. What were some of the other interventions that the elementary school teachers had, or high school or BAM had?
I don't know if it was interventions per se, but I loved dioramas as a kid. Those
Oh,
were
interesting.
I loved making. I took those shoe boxes and we used to make dioramas inside all the time, creative things. Those types of projects are great for ADD kids, hands-on. We had a Rebbe who had the kids make the mishkan out of snow. Back then, when there was snow in the winters, he would take boxes and and literally build out the base of it, the mishkan according to its real size.
Snow. That's incredible.
That was great. It was a great thing. Rabbi Resnick did that with the guys.
What did some of that look like? Some of the creativity that it brought out.
It was
What did it look
everyone
like?
was
Right,
involved. It was
right, right.
great. Everybody was involved. It was good. It was out of the classroom. It was hands-on, learning. It was very exciting. Good stuff. So that was high school. Elementary school was the dioramas and plays. There were always plays, and during sports, play. I enjoyed playing sports. So during recess, I shined. I was able to succeed with all that. That was
Oh,
good.
that's great. That's a great opportunity to be able to showcase your talents, especially because they often some of those talents, some of the kids who struggle academically have the non-academic talents, and if you can
Right.
have that opportunity to shine, it
Right.
can boost confidence. So that was helpful that way.
Very helpful. Very helpful. Today there's an intensity to win everything. You have to keep winning, and the ADD kids are typically not competitive. Many of them are not competitive in that sense, and it inhibits their ability to be successful when it comes to sports.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas when I was growing up, it was different. Winning it wasn't as competitive in class. Everyone wanted to win, but it wasn't as like that wasn't you have to win. We were having a good time. We were playing ball. I've noticed a lot of that with the current generation, the last 10, 15 years. The competitiveness in sports to win definitely does inhibit kids from being able to succeed and shine.
Right, that's a shame. I also see the other side of it when they tap into the competitive edge. So then the emotional dysregulation kicks in, and then they're hyper competitive. They yell at teammates. They lose their cool. So
Right,
it ends up. Sounds like you had hit that perfect balance where you were into it, but just having fun, and
right,
either going in either direction to an extreme
right.
ends up diminishing the benefits. Were there
Yep.
different challenges in high school than you had in elementary school that you had to adjust to?
Tests.
Tests,
The,
higher
the tests were
academic
much harder.
expectations. All right.
Yeah, it was a higher expectations. College also, it was much different. It was much different. That's a good question. It's a long time ago. I don't know if I can answer them so well.
No problem. What were things that you wish you had known in elementary and high school that if you could communicate that to yourself from now to then, what would you want to tell yourself?
Wow, what a question. What would I tell myself if I was back in high school, back in elementary school? Um, I would make sure to try to get, I would request from the school to have some extracurricular activities geared towards us, towards the creative people. Um, Mechanic
That's great.
shops, wood shop, workshop, wood shop. Today it's computers and science and tech. STEM programs, it's called. The STEM programs are great. That's something that if I had an extra $250,000, I would set up a STEM center right here in the middle of Muncie, get a grant, outfit it, and make it available for all the schools to send the kids that need to be able to be creative outside of the textbook. There's a
That's amazing.
huge void. It's a huge void. I not probably it's not a quarter million. It's probably like a $500,000. If there's anyone that listens to this that has the extra gelt and they want to do something like that and hire a person to run the shop, it would be a tremendous value add to the student population to have a STEM center for everybody to share.
That's amazing. That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope you got the money.
I'm not running a
Yeah,
project yet,
yeah,
but that would be a very good thing. I would we used to take apart cars and during recess occasionally we'd go to a Rebbe's car or someone else's car and take apart the engine and put things back together and have some fun with things like that. But if it was a formal process, formal time frame, formal program within the classroom, I think there's a lot of students that would benefit from it.
that's very interesting. Well, you usually hear more about the creative side of things, like the artsy side of things and sports, but this is another dimension. But it definitely fits. I'm hearing how it fits with the other creative
Sure,
activities.
sure. Music is the same thing. There's a high school in Teaneck. It's called Heichal.
Sure.
Um, they allow, they bring out the students that have the creative side of them. They give them the opportunities to bring it out. I've seen some WhatsApps from different people they send out, um, music and just a lot of other opportunities, creative stuff.
Right. Well, camp has that also. I once wrote a blog on my or a LinkedIn post or something like that on my way out of camp, said like about how I'm watching these guys who shine the whole summer, and then some of them you can tell that it's not going to be easy to go back to school.
Right,
It's almost hard
right,
to watch.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I know a kid. He just called me. He went to Israel for the year. They convinced him to go. He really didn't want to go. He was ready to become a plumber and just get working. And they convinced him to go. And he's right now in Israel, and it's very hard for him. He's like, I'm ready to come home. I feel like I'm wasting my time because he's not set up to be able to sit in a base medrash for 3-4 hours of the day. Just three
Right.
four hours. We're not talking about a whole day. We're talking part of the day. It's a real discipline to be able to sit in a base medrash or in a classroom for so many hours. You have to create an excitement. You going back, you asked me before, what would I do differently if I knew what were the conditions at the time of elementary school and high school? What would it take to create more dopamine and more norepinephrine to stimulate the executive functions in the frontal lobes and get going?
Right.
Um, and educate the teachers and the staff as to what is ADHD. Most people don't know what it is. Most people don't understand it. So my description is like this: is how I tell people. I said, imagine you tell a guy, and he says he doesn't have legs, and you tell the guy, please, can you cross the street for me? He said, I have no legs. How am I supposed to get across the street? Work harder. Try harder. What are you
Right.
doing? Get across the street, dude. I need you there. Kenish, can you not hear me? Can you see I have no legs? What are you talking about?
That's fantastic.
So it's the same thing. It's like the kid he doesn't have the dopamine. He's missing the norepinephrine. How are you telling him to do it or try harder? Doesn't work. Try differently and teach him and show him how to try differently. So first, it comes with exercise. There are certain types of exercises that help the body stimulate and create norepinephrine. So then that's one side. The next thing is there's certain foods that are just really bad for the brain, and besides sugar, which is awful. Sugar and wheat tire you out terribly, and if you can avoid that, and again, there's plenty of substitutes. You'll find that you have a lot more thinking.
Well, tell me
So
more. Any examples coming to mind?
um, it's not kids aren't going to eat this, but adults should. You should.
Okay,
Yeah,
adults are good too.
yeah,
What should adults
yeah.
have?
Red, yellow, orange peppers, slice them up, dip them in hummus every day. That should be your snack. Um, you should have those boring dry crackers, that don't have any sugar in them.
Right.
Um, there's great stuff that from Israel you can import. Popcorn, that's a great snack. Lara bars, those are dates. It's all dates. It's natural sugar. It's not artificial sugar, so that's okay. Um, make yourself smoothies, bananas, mangoes, strawberries, yogurt, mix in some yogurt. Um, it takes time to get the palate used to it, but if over a course of 2, 3, 4 years you slowly remove the sugar, you slowly remove the white flour, you'll find that the brain has more clarity. You don't need to sleep as much. You don't have that fog. Is that what you hear from a lot of people? I've seen that.
Yes.
That it's the
Yeah.
fog, right?
Yeah. The brain fog is killer.
Brain fog,
The brain
right.
fog is
So
killer. Yeah.
so how much coffee do you have to drink to get rid of the brain fog?
Um, I'm not sure.
Unlimited.
Right. Unlimited.
It's
It's
unlimited.
it's like the old joke. I don't know how much coffee it takes to make a person happy, but so far it's not 12 cups.
Right.
So
So it's the same thing. You'll never get rid of that fog. You pretend. I've seen this a number of times with colleagues in different places that I've worked. They keep going back for that coffee. I need my coffee. I need my coffee. And I'm going, you don't need a coffee. You need some Adderall. That'll get rid of your fog. There's nothing else. It doesn't get rid of exercise is the only thing besides medicine that can get rid of the fog. Nothing else can do it. Unless you're doing something that you're really excited about, because if you're excited about it, then the body creates its own dopamine and norepinephrine. So what do you do when you're counseling someone to choose a career path? Pick something that's going to be exciting.
well, oh yeah, absolutely.
So if
Any
you're on
examples come to mind for you?
So people who like to fix things or like to be, they should be in the blue collar field or service or something that they're not sitting in one desk and falling asleep half the time, dreading what they're doing.
Right.
No
If,
offense to any accountants that are out there, but I have found many of accountants throughout my career I've seen who have ADD and they're just muddling through life miserable.
right, they're not built to sit at a desk like that.
No,
Even though
no.
they have the brains for it, but they
They
don't
have the
have the
brains. They're
yeah
great accountants. They're
yeah
creative, but they don't have they don't have the executive function to be able to structure themselves. And they're always behind in filings. They're always behind in getting back to their clients and losing files and this and that. And they're and physically they're just not happy with what they're doing. So
right. They're
the
not meant to be
success
in a cubicle. Yeah.
the successful accountants that have the ADD, they move quickly through the ranks in bigger firms or mid-sized firms, and they become partners because they become rainmakers and they become salespeople.
Oh, then they're using the people skills.
There you go.
Oh, interesting.
Salespeople, ADD people could be excellent salespeople if they train themselves right, because they're social, they're
Right. They use the
capable of.
gifts of personality.
Right, right.
I
It's
also hear emergency medicine
right,
and ADHD or team because there's always something new and interesting coming in.
right. You're on your feet. You're on your feet all the time.
Right.
I've been suggesting to some young people lately to go become public adjusters.
Public adjusters. Tell me more.
Public adjuster is someone that if there's someone has a flood or a fire, or there's a car that gets into an accident, so there's all different types of adjusters, but they're going to come down and evaluate what the damage is, and then the insurance company cuts you a check based on his or her assessment. So something like that, you can get trained. It's not hard to get trained. You get certified, get a license, and then you can work for a big company or you can work for yourself. And then whenever there's a catastrophe somewhere in the country and you're willing to get on the plane, you hop on the plane and you can rake it in. Um, going down and doing all the adjustments because the insurance companies all need people to go out and and assess the damage and pay out checks to people. So that's a true ADD type of job because it's constantly changing.
Right.
You're
There's variety. There's travel.
right.
There's action, though it's not happy action, but it's
It's
action in a certain
action,
sense. Right.
right? And
Right.
and you have to use your brains. It's not dumb work. It
Right. You have
requires
to know what you're
thinking,
doing. Right.
right?
Oh,
So
you
it's
mentioned
a
specific exercises also. What are specific exercises that come to mind?
that's a very open-ended question. So there's a lot of running is very good. There's a lot of certain types of stretches and yoga stretches.
Moving on to college and early career, what were the challenges and how did you navigate them?
Do I become a plumber or do I become a professional?
Oh wow, so phase one, you had to.
We have to make a plan.
Right,
So you go to college.
right,
Everybody went to college back then. Today
right,
we don't recommend it anymore.
right,
Unless you want to become a white collar professional, then you do need a college degree.
right. But even
But
if you want to go into a field that doesn't need it, what's the point? That's what you're saying.
right,
Right,
right. Take the classes that are relevant for you.
right,
And if you're becoming an Amazon seller, you're becoming a nursing home. You're going into nursing home administration. So this particular coursework you need to take. If you're becoming a public adjuster, if you want to be an accountant or a lawyer, then yeah, you need to go to school for that.
right.
Um, so what that was one of the early stages. I could have done both of them, and yeah, siyata dishmaya. God led me through to get a degree and go work.
Right. And what were some of the like on the ground kinds of challenges? Like were there new challenges that you hadn't seen in your earlier schooling years?
No, it's the same thing. Just keeping up with the classes, keeping up with the doing the homeworks. When I was young, I remember this in eighth grade, like yesterday. It would take me 45 minutes to an hour to do my math homework. So we went to parent-teacher conference, and my father asked the principal, like the math teacher, why do you give my son so much homework? He says, I don't give him so much homework. It should take him 10 minutes, 15 minutes to do it.
Oh man,
Right. So, what was the answer? The answer is that I wasn't paying attention in class and I didn't know how to do the math. I didn't understand it. So I needed a tutor.
right,
But no one hopped at that time what was going on. So I would just keep muddling through it and trying, and I couldn't focus. I couldn't pay attention to it. I shouldn't have been taking algebra. There's no purpose in my taking algebra.
right.
Algebra, trigonometry, geometry. I loved. I love geometry,
But
but I
geometry is
didn't
more logic oriented, and there you have the hands-on piece
visual.
of it, the visual piece of it.
Visual,
Right, exactly. Right,
right? So, but algebra and trig wasn't for me. That's not to say that every ADD person shouldn't take algebra trig. A lot of ADD guys, I know that do very well in algebra and trig.
or if they like
Um,
math and they get all
if
into
their
it.
head
Yeah,
thinks,
yeah.
if there's no, it's not a cookie cutter thing. Everybody is different. There's so many different modalities within it. You have to Chanuch Lenar Pidarko. Every person has to really understand their children when they're raising them. There's
Right.
no there's no exact science. It's a moving target.
Yeah, even within ADHD, everyone's got their own flavor, I like to
Hmm.
say.
That's right.
So at one point did you know what was going on? At what point were you diagnosed?
When I was about 40 years old,
Oh wow.
40, 30, 37, 38, maybe 40.
So you were well into your career with the whole family before you knew what was going on.
Yeah, didn't know. Well, the science really didn't come out till late 90s, early 2000. That's when the MRI technology got advanced enough for them to be able to understand, oh, this is what's going on in the brain. And they were able to study it. And then as the years moved on, they were able to study even more and really understand what was going on in people's heads.
Right, Driven to Distraction came out in I think '95. Did I get that right?
Right.
I think that was really groundbreaking in terms of
Yeah.
understanding it in adults. With kids, at least they know what running around looks like.
Right.
Even that took its time. But with adults, I think that really opened the world of understanding that wasn't really there before.
Yep. There's a great book. It's called Living Without Breaks
That's
by
one of my favorites.
by
That,
Martin Kirschner.
that's
Kutcher.
yeah, Kosher,
He's he's
pretty much
great.
my favorite.
I find that I think that's the only book I've found to date that a non-ADHD person could read to give them a small understanding of what it feels like to have it. All the other books don't give over that. So if a person doesn't have it, they can't understand it. A guy came to me. He said, "We're trying to do the books and records for our show, and it's difficult because one of the guys isn't entering the information properly." I said, "Okay, so let someone else do it." He goes, "But why can't he just enter it?" I said, "Because it's hard. It's difficult." He goes, "But you just put it in and you hit enter." I go, "That's easy for you to do, but for him, it's not so simple. He has so many other things going on. For him to pay attention to that and do it right, it's uh, it's hard. It's hard for people. You have to have compassion."
Right. Education is like is really the first step. It's interesting that you find that Dr. Kutcher's explains it better than anybody else. Like, it's my favorite one, but interesting that you find from the other ones people can't get it. Like from
You won't understand it. You still won't
understand.
feel it. I brought
Interesting.
Kutcher down one year to Torah Misora, to a convention, that one of their annual conventions for the teachers. So I brought him down as a guest speaker,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
I drove him down, and we spent the day together. It was really nice. And he gave a very nice conference. After he spoke, two Rebbeim came over to me, and they said, "We have ADD. We never knew it before.
wow.
What do we do now?" So one guy asked, "How are you managing in the classroom?" He goes, "Well, I partner up with another Rebbe. That Rebbe is so organized and meticulous, and I'm so creative. I do all the creative. He does the organization, and we partner together. And
That's great.
it's an awesome tag team. He's doing
Right.
great."
Right.
The other guy didn't have anything like that, and he was struggling. He's struggling. Yeah, you know the old story. This is an old story with the coffee and the
Yeah.
Talmud. Yeah, everyone's heard that a million times already, but it's MS. It's really MS. It's
Right.
funny.
Interesting that Rebbe figured out how to coach himself. The Rebbe who found his found his partner to work with.
He
But
figured
for the
it
other
out.
Rebbe, it's you find the perks of ADHD are incredible for teaching. You know, the personality, the creativity, the excitement, the way you can really animate a classroom.
Right.
But on the flip side, then you got to mark tests and not lose them, and that
I
all that.
I found that many teachers who have ADD cannot relate to their students with ADD. It's very unique that they're able to do that.
Whether teachers that have it or
The
don't
teachers that have it
have
have
it.
a hard time relating to the students that have it.
Well, that's interesting. Well, how come? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Be well, maybe today it's different, but this in pre 2010,
Right.
they didn't understand it. They didn't know what was going on. And if a student couldn't behave in class, then they were frustrated about it, and they would discipline the student, um, not knowing that they themselves had the same issue.
Right. I wonder why they
It's
didn't like
sort of like a
intuit.
mirror, because
I wonder.
they didn't know themselves, they didn't understand themselves.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would have thought that they would have sort of related to the fact of related to the not being understood and the way that they're not understood.
right,
But
right.
interesting, it didn't play out like that.
Now today the Rebbeim are different.
Yeah,
It's a
thankfully.
whole different generation. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
I mean, hopefully, right here we're getting the word out.
Right, right. You have teachers today that will like you see. I have a slinky in my hand
Slinky.
now. Right,
Everyone
the
loves a
baby
slinky,
slinky.
right? Yeah,
So if you had a slinky as a kid in high school, elementary school, what would the teacher do?
they
They
take it
would
away.
point it
Maybe
away.
not say
Yeah.
something not so
Today they'll let you
warm and
fidget.
fuzzy when they took it away. Yeah.
Today they'll let you fidget. Right. Today they'll let you drink water in class. If a teacher doesn't let someone have a water bottle in the classroom, that's torture. That's abuse.
Oh, interesting. I teach in high school, so for me, I let this like for me that kind of stuff's not a big deal anyway. But interesting
Water.
that in elementary school they let it
No
go. Yeah.
soda, no juices, no cans, don't make big messes, though, but just plain water in a classroom, you got to let people drink. It's
Oh, great.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Glad to hear that.
yeah, absolutely, and let them fidget. Whatever it is as long as it's not disturbing other people and they're respectful.
Right. Perfect. Okay. Great. I'm glad the word is getting out there.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to you, what was your reaction when you got diagnosed?
Oh, okay. Thanks for asking. That's a hard one. I was he said I'm lucky that I wasn't a train wreck.
Right. And
It
how do
was
you react to that?
I cried.
You cried.
I
Whoa.
cried.
Right.
I cried. That was huge. It was like, wow, thank you Hashem. Um, and I attribute it to having a great spouse, having good people that surrounded me that understood me. Um, and then now comes the next step though. Once you're diagnosed, now what are you doing to make changes?
Right. What did you do?
So it's a lifelong project, and you
Right.
have
Sure.
to do it in bite sizes. You can't do it all at once. So you learn. You start studying and learning more about it. Read Dr. Kutcher's book. Read all the other books. I created a mini Bible. Um, it's a
Well, I think you
it's
sent
a
it to me.
I sent you a copy.
But
Yeah,
but tell me more, so for the
yeah.
listeners.
So what I did is I spent a lot of time reading the different books that are out there, understanding each one's strengths. You learn something from everybody. And then there's websites that have lots of podcasts and YouTubes and stuff on this as well. I find that many of the people that create the YouTubes and the podcasts, they themselves are ADD,
Right.
and I hate to say this and not in a negative way. I don't mean to be mean at all, but some of them are just doing it to make some money,
Right.
and or their ADD is just so overwhelming that because I email them questions and comments and stuff, and they never get back to me.
Right.
So
A little bit of an occupational hazard.
that was really like, yeah, yo, dude, you can't do that. That was really bad. I bought a subscription once for 16 classes to someone who put a program together, and they failed to really deliver well on it. I was very unimpressed.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
a
I could,
shame. Right.
yeah, it was a shame. But either way, so you learn more about yourself and you sof ma'aseh machshava tchila. So give yourself a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan. Every year you have to change 3 or 4 or 5 of your midos. And if you do that slowly over time, then you can rewrite the um, the neural pathways. For the listeners that are listening still, we haven't lost you. The brain has neural pathways where your habits and your memory is stored. They're in different parts of the brain, and you should study and understand yourself better. And you have the ability to write over past experiences and past habits and create new ones, which takes 30 to 40 days to create a new habit. So if you're spending time over the course of a year and you work on 4 or 5 different habits, modalities, and functions within yourself, you'll be very matzliach, and you'll see over the course of years how you can grow and grow and grow and change.
Right. With the ADHD brain's challenge and seeing the long term, what do you recommend with approaching, something with a goal for a year or 2 years from now? What do you recommend to make that real, to make that feel real in the moment?
The biggest thing I would recommend for anyone is to try to focus on mindfulness.
Mindfulness in what
It's a
sense?
it's a new topic, mindfulness. It's a new conversation. I would say last 7-8 years.
Right.
It's come to the forum. In the Muslim movement, it's been around for hundreds of years.
Right.
But to be mindful means to be understanding at the present what's going on, and it requires meditation at times. It requires short-term focusing on what you're doing and verbalizing to yourself, what am I about to start, what am I trying to accomplish. I'm going to give myself 15 minutes of focus on this, no interruptions, move the cell phone away, and just focus for 15 minutes on whatever it is that I'm doing in bite sizes. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, bite size successes, and condition yourself to being able to focus for longer periods of time on one item. So mindfulness, I think, is a very important piece. Mindfulness also means being aware of your surroundings, and being mindful to the people that you're interacting with. So here's a great tool. This is an awesome tip that I would share. An ADD person typically can't understand what the EQ of the person they're talking to is about, and they're not necessarily being cognizant or being sensitive to what's going on in the person's mind. So the way to do that is by reading body language. learning about body language to understand how the person is moving their shoulders, their arms, their back, their eyes, facial expressions. Are they sweating? Are they not sweating? Did they respond to your question? Did they answer you with what you addressed them with? Or if not, then you have to ask differently. So there's twofold here. I'm saying a conversation a little confusing. If you're the ADD person and having this conversation and you realize that you yourself aren't understanding what everyone else is saying, or you're processing, delaying it, which is a comorbidity of ADD, by the way. A lot of people have that process delay. Then you have to tell the people you're talking to, I have a diagnosed condition. It's called processing delay. Really? Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a diagnosis. It's true. So, Lamashal, okay, fasten your seatbelts on this one, and we're going to ADD for a moment. We're going to come back in a second. Imagine you're sitting in class and you're learning a Gemara, and the Rebbe's the first day of the new sugya, and you're following along, and you're taking your notes, and you're writing everything down. And after 2 or 3 days, though, you're slowly, because you process delay everything, you're slowly moving away and separating, and you can't keep up. You can't keep up. So, what do? You give up. And you say, okay, I'll wait for the next sugya to start. And you do the same thing again. And then eventually you just get so frustrated, you say, I can't learn Gemara anymore. So if you have a good Rebbe, he'll chop and he'll tell you, don't worry about all the other stuff. Just do Gemara Rashi.
Right. Like you're
That's
good,
it.
Rebbe.
Like I heard it. It's absolutely, that's it. So when you're in meetings and you're having a conversation with someone, repeat back to them what you heard to make sure that everyone really, you're all on the same page. So if it's a business meeting or even a discussion with your spouse, repeat back to your spouse and say, if I'm understanding correctly, this is what you asked from me. This is what you'd like me to do. I just want to make sure that I understand what you just said. And it gives an opportunity for healthy dialogue without anyone getting upset later on. I told you to do this. Why didn't you take care of it? Go, I didn't hear that. This is what I heard. So that's a real tip I would recommend. That's part of being mindful.
That's
Being
great. I would
mindful.
add that when you're interacting with someone who has ADD or ADHD, especially when you're the adult and they're the kid, the teen, but even adult to adult, they can come off as condescending. So you need to be careful. But with an adult to a kid, you can say, "Did you understand what I said? You mind repeating it back just to make sure I was clear?" You can take the blame in case you weren't, take the blame that way. But sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't. And like you're saying, it can really save you a headache and a lot of frustration.
You can't do that with adults. You can't say repeat back to me. You can ask the adult, I'm not sure if I'm being
Right.
clear. This is what I meant to impart. Does
Right.
that
Did that
make
make any
sense to you?
sense? You can yeah, exactly.
Right. And email. If it's in business, you have to memorialize your conversations in email. ADT people, Torah min hashamayim, halacha l'Moshe misinai. You must email and memorialize any conversation you have with someone that you're going to have follow-ups with. Because otherwise, there's 90% of the time, I can guarantee you that there's a disconnect.
But this is to make sure that they understand in the first place, to make sure they don't forget, or both.
But just make sure that you're both on the same dial, that you're both saying the same thing. We're about to go into a transaction. I just want to make sure that this is that we discussed. This is what you want me to do for you. You're asking me to paint your house with gray slate 203 paint by Benjamin Moore.
Right.
Not not that you just told me verbally. Put it down in writing, in an email, not a text, not a WhatsApp, in an email because it's there. It doesn't disappear.
Interesting. It's also a little bit more of a formal kind of venue that way.
Everything. No, there's no handshakes.
Right.
ADD people may not have handshakes. No such thing as a handshake.
Oh,
No one's going to
interesting. Right.
remember properly.
Right. Have the handshake with the email, maybe, but
Right, with
yeah,
email,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Were there unique ADD related challenges in banking that you found, or the same kind of things from school?
It's the same stuff.
Same stuff.
It's the same stuff. I would say that it's mostly interpersonal skill building and communication challenges. When you have routines that you have to get certain things done, that's very helpful. That's a very important part. If in career paths, you asked me before, what path would I take? What was I considering as a plumber or a professional? I didn't know which way I was going. So it's if there's structure in the day, you'll be good. You need to have structure. Um, You need to have a support system, though, to make sure that you can achieve and complete everything that you have to get done.
How did you decide at the time?
God decided.
Decided.
I got three job offers right out of college. One
Oh
was
wow. Okay.
selling one was selling life insurance.
Right.
No, thank you. But my friends that did it at that time, they're doing very well now.
Okay. Glad they're doing
They
well.
built they built a good book of business, and Baruch Hashem, they did well with it. It's a great career if you have the right mentors. You need good mentors for that. The second one was a residential mortgage broker residential mortgage broker, right? I have no interest in that. And the third one was going through a training program at the bank. That was more exciting.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the ADHD Heroes podcast. For questions about the podcast, you can email us at adhdheroespodcast@gmail.com. Also, for sponsorships or to share your story, your ADHD story, you can also email us at the same place, adhdheroespodcast@gmail.com. To be in touch with me about ADHD coaching, writing, or speaking engagements, you can email me at rsreichadhdcoach@gmail.com. Be sure to check out my website, rsreich.com, adhdcoach.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn, or you can check out my blog on nefesh.org. Check out my blog there under my name. Important disclaimer: podcasts are great, but they do not take the place of mental health help or medical help. So if you need help with mental health or need a doctor, be sure to be in contact with some of them. Please, if you like this show, please rate, review, and share with a friend. That's how these things get out there. Thank you again for listening, and thank you to our producers at Pretty Easy Podcasts.